last night's race lay bare the fact that swing voters are kind of tired of Republicans playing to their political base rather than addressing the issues. Massachusetts Congressman Jim McGovern said the same in a more forceful message to his Republican counterparts.
The reason why you did not win last night is because people think that what you're doing is not the right thing. Your ideas are unpopular, and they're sick of the incompetence and the inaction.
Speaking of action, a year after Republicans made the East Palestine train disaster a cause celeb and shamed President Biden into visiting. President Biden's going to visit on Friday. Congressional Republicans have done precisely nothing to make rural towns better protected from rail disasters. A report from The Intercept notes 1 year after East Palestine, some Senate Republicans haven't even looked at the rail safety bill. Others perhaps were working against it. That might have something to do with the fact that Norfolk Southern spent $2.3 million to lobby Congress and the federal government in 2023. Former Pennsylvania Congressman Charlie Dent is with us. You think there's a connection between leadership fights and impeachment fights and the like and Republican loss last night?
Well, yes. I mean, look, the House Republican Conference does not have a functional majority. It's that simple, and that bared itself out with respect to the various speaker fights for McCarthy initially, 15 rounds, and then they removed him. Then it took a long time to get Johnson in place. And they just had the very difficult time doing the basics of governance. And so I think that is hurting House Republicans, and especially in the aftermath of the scuttled border security provisions of the foreign aid bill that the Senate had delicately negotiated. That got blown up, too. I mean, so people see this and they think, boy, these guys can't get anything done. And I think the House Republicans in particular are under the microscope for not doing much other than just trying to figure out who their leaders are.
Yeah, well, that's, as you point out, that's taken them a while. Look, we have to be fair, right? There's some House Republicans who have such safe seats and are so far to the right that they can sort of demand these performative votes or demand things not get through that would be a compromise. And the rest of the caucus realizes that if they don't go along with the most crazy among them, they're going to get primaried. I think about this as it relates to Donald Trump, because there's two views of this. Donald Trump, this is a very foolish woman. Mazi Pilip running in a race where she didn't endorse me and tried to straddle the fence when she would have easily won if she understood anything about modern-day politics in America. In other words, she was too moderate for a swing district. If only she had endorsed Trump, then suddenly there would have been more Republicans in Nassau County, New York, showing up to vote for her in the snow. You buy that?
No, Trump's actually got this wrong. One thing he does have right is I think that Pilip was not a particularly good candidate. Suozzi is. He's a moderate, pragmatic, problem-solving Democrat. He's a proven winner up there. And he obviously separated himself from Joe Biden on the border and crime and some other issues. So he played it very smart. Pilip, on the other hand, they were hammering her over some tax issues. I mean, if you're going to run somebody in the George Santos seat, a man who was expelled for all kinds of craziness and including financial issues, you might want to have a candidate who was squeaky clean. Yes, she has a great personal story serving in the IDF, but boy, oh boy, there was a bit of a Santos penalty, I suspect, in that district in this race. So bottom line, you're right though that about your basic premise is correct that Trump is really not helping things. Trump lost that district by 8 points. If she just behaved like Trump, I'm sure that things would have gone even worse than they did for her last night.
I think about things that the GOP could have dealt with, right? Rail safety, border reform, foreign aid to allies, national debt. You say they don't have a functional majority, and there's nothing Democrats like more than watching Republicans fight for each other, fight amongst each other. I guess, why is it that, and maybe the answer is there's just not a strong enough leader, but why is it that nobody is able to look at all of them and say, look, we can have our fights amongst yourselves, but let's try to put Democrats in a bad position. That's more important.
Well, I think Republicans, this is where I'm just mystified. Here they negotiated Senate border provisions, James Lankford and Senator Murphy. They negotiated this bill, got many conservative policy victories on asylum reform, And then they walked away from their own agreement. I mean, to me, that's just staggering. Here they actually got some things that they desperately wanted. They could have had a deliverable, but then Trump intervened and said, you know what, I want the issue. He wants the issue and doesn't want to solve the problem. And frankly, it hurt Pilip, and she endorsed Trump's position in the end, which was foolish. And Suozzi ran as the compromise candidate saying, hey, I'm trying to fix the border. So I don't understand. Even when they have a solution in hand, they walk away from it. Why? Because a lot of those hardliners in the House don't want to vote for anything that has Ukraine funding in it. And frankly, they also want to just pander to Trump. I mean, so that's
Republicans have made their bed. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.